the genesis of this brotherhood. How did you meet? Where did you meet? How did you grow up? All of those things.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. So we actually go back, like me and Raph, to sixth form college.
Okay, and you went where?
We went to Havering, actually, of all places. It's kind of...
Where's that?
Havering, it's just Essex, yeah.
Okay.
Upminster. Upminster.
So is that where you guys grew up?
Not even. Oh yeah, I guess like it's what my backstory is like. I was actually born and raised in Jamaica, in Kingston. So I actually came to the UK. It's kind of a weird back and forth between the generations. Because my mum was born in UK, her parents were born in Jamaica. So each generation has kind of like come back and gone. We ended up basically living in East London, and then later on moving out towards sort of like, you know, that Romford, that sort of side. After going to secondary school in Chadwell Heath.
Yep, I've heard of Chadwell Heath.
Yeah. So it just made sense at that time to do Haven Sixth Form because I was the arts. I was doing art and design.
Okay,
and
that's what you studied?
Yeah, they seem to have like a good program there, so I ended up going there. And that's how me and Raph met. So we were actually in the same graphic design class in A-levels.
So who's the better drawer at now?
Yeah. So this is the funny thing, like, for whatever reason, I could see that you were super like into like the idea of like graphics, but in terms of applying it, it would always come to me. So I was like, okay, so what does this mean? Like, what's this Photoshop business?
I think it takes a very particular mind to use Photoshop, I must say.
Maybe.
I can't do it for the life of me.
Yeah. But I just grew up like just playing around with it even when I was in secondary school. So I just kind of just continue building on those skills. So yeah, that's kind of how we met. Raph was one of those guys who's always thinking about like some business idea. So that was like really interesting to see, like him doing different kind of entrepreneurial stuff. And when I got into working in startups, I kind of caught that bug as well, like working in marketing, working in branding. But yeah, that's a little bit of background anyway.
I guess it's my turn. So I was born in the UK, born to Nigerian parents, but I always identify as Nigerian first, just because of how I was raised. We speak Yoruba in the house. I just feel like I'm Nigerian first before anything else. Grew up in Canning Town. Was in Canning Town up until about, I think, 16, and then we moved out to Essex, and then that's how I ended up going to Havering. Well, I say that I had two options. I could have gone to a place called St. Bond's, or which is in Forest Gate, or I could have gone to Havering, and I felt like I just wanted a change.
And was it because Forest Gate was so close to home?
Yeah, kind of. It was close to home, and then it was the people. Like, I knew a lot of the people there anyway, and then I felt like a lot of the people who were going to be going to St. Bond's, I already knew, and I just felt like I want to change of environment, so I ended up going with Havering. And yeah, like as Adam mentioned, met in a graphics class. I don't know if I'm just remembering this incorrectly, or if I don't know, but I feel like we were only two black people.
There was one other guy, but he was
in the college or in your class?
No, in the class.
Graphics class.
In the class, yeah.
So I think naturally, I just kind of like gravitated towards
that happens. Yeah.
So then, yeah, like we were just cool, and then like he'd help me with stuff.
Was he doing your homework?
No, it wasn't even that. Do you know what it was? It was like, I can't see it. So my memory's a bit foggy, so I can't fully remember how we had to execute on stuff. But I just remember going to Adam and being like, oh, so this thing I need to do, like, I had ideas, but in terms of like the actual execution of it with the tools and the applications is where it probably like fell short. But yeah, so I did college, then went to university. Funnily enough, went to university to do law.
Okay.
At that point, I was convinced, I'm gonna be a lawyer. I'm good with my words.
Was that did that come from heritage? Did that come from your upbringing?
It came from my uncle. So my uncle was a big lawyer in Nigeria, and every time he would come back, he'd be like, "So, you know, you should do law and come to Nigeria."
Yeah.
So the go to Nigeria part was not part of the script, but I thought, okay, cool, I'll do the law thing. And I was doing it, and I thought, this is what I want to do. But then I just had a moment where I felt like I don't actually think this is what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
So, admittedly, dropped out of uni, didn't tell my parents.
So okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. We have to unpack this.
Yeah.
You went to uni in first year.
2 years.
Okay, first 2 years.
Yeah.
After second year, you drop out.
Yeah.
In third year, your parents think you're going to uni.
They, halfway through the year, I don't know what they thought, but it eventually got to a point where I told my dad, and I was like, yeah, listen, I'm not doing a uni thing anymore.
And what happened?
And he actually took it quite well.
Okay.
He took it well. I think he was like, he's very aware that I had like an entrepreneurial streak.
Mm-hmm.
So I think when I had that conversation with him, and I just said, I actually think I want to do something else, he was just like, okay, well, figure out what you want to do, and then just let us know what the plan is.
Yeah.
But then I had this niggling feeling where I was like, I felt like it was unfinished business, and I kind of wanted to give my mum the picture. Sounds really not stupid, but
no, I understand that sentiment.
yeah, it was just like all my friends had graduated, and I don't know, I just felt like this obligation to give my mum the picture. So I said, okay, cool, I'll go back to uni. But I
thought you were gonna say you just did the picture.
Nah, I wish I. Do you know what, bro? Considering how much I paid for the picture, I wish I did just get the picture. But yeah, I went back to uni, did a business management course. It was an accelerated course, so it meant I wouldn't have to do any there was no holiday, there was no Christmas, Easter, any of that. It was just you work the entire way through. So I thought, okay, cool, 2 years I can bang it out. Did that, went to Greenwich University to do that, finished that off.
In what subject?
Business management. And then straight out of uni started another business. But yeah, I'm kind of going off on a tangent. But yeah, I met Adam at college, graphics design, and yeah, we just stayed in touch through the years to the point where 2020 we eventually just had like a catch up, and it was just like, I'm working on this, I'm working on this thing, and then we.
I didn't even know you dropped out in second year.
No,
I thought you always just did business.
No.
Okay,
really.
All right. I'm learning as well.
Learning from your friend right now.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm just trying to marry up stages of life. You drop out of uni and then start a business. At this age, you're how old?
19, 20.
Okay. And at 19, 20, you were doing what?
I would have been at uni at that time in not too far from here at Central St. Martin's.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you really went down the arts route.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying. Like, I didn't even know that that was something that you could do to like a level, right? So each step of the way, someone's just been like, "Oh, you're quite good at this. You should go here."
Yeah.
And in a sense, I sort of followed my sister's footsteps. So she's 4 years older, and she went to LCC, London College of Communication. So it's all part of the same university, but different colleges. So yeah, that was like a whole new way of like seeing what's actually possible.
Yeah.
And still not fully grasping the whole kind of legacy of what actually, that university represented at the time. But I remember like when we were there, that was during the time when Kanye West apparently like had applied to go CSM and they denied him, right?
I did not know that.
Yeah, so that was like a thing like when I was thinking I was in like second year or something, and then it was
what?
Like, yeah. So this is what I'm saying. It was that kind of university where it's like it's not anybody can get
there's
in.
weight and gravity.
Yeah. So I've since seen like people who came off the year below me, like they've gone on like to global like stardom. Like there's this guy Campbell Addy, photographer. I think he was doing like fashion editorial or something like that. And then seeing what he's gone on to do now, like obviously shooting like major celebs and having his own agency and everything else. Like it just goes to show, there's a certain path that is there to kind of like enter into like certain industries. And I grew up never even knowing about CSO. I had no idea what I was kind of stepping into. Yeah.
Representation is so important. And I think that's like similarly to the conversation we were having before we went live, is the ability to see as many people as possible doing as many different things, so you can see the avenue and the route to something that 100%. Maybe doesn't look as normal in the eyes of society. Whilst you were at uni, you were starting a business. What business was this?
It was a food meal prep business. So I started it with one of my other friends that I met in college. And what happened was I dropped out of uni and then I started working. And while I was working, I was like doing the whole training, gym, etc., etc. But I found that like it was really difficult to stay on top of like my diet and eating the rest of it. So
is it like you had a bad diet? You got a
no, so
sweet tooth?
my diet at the time was actually like pretty good. Like then it was get as hench as possible. So it was like like meal prep, all of that stuff. But then when I started working, I was working really long hours. I was just like, it would be great if I could just have a service where you just cook my meals, give it to me. It's all according to like what I need to eat, and then I'll just go from there. And I looked around, and at the time there was just like a lot of the companies weren't really giving you proper food. It was like powdered stuff that you mix with water or soups and all this other stuff. There was one company at the time who were like huge at the time, but like the food they were giving, I was just like, that's not making sense, and it definitely won't work for men. Because it was all just focused on extreme weight loss and all this stuff, different stuff. So I just hollered at one of my boys, and I was just like, bro, like I feel like there's an opportunity here to start something. And
is he the chef?
Neither of us were chefs.
Okay.
We ended up hiring chefs to make the food, so we just focused on like the business side of it, marketing. How do you make people aware of it? Like, how do we need to structure things? Partnerships with gyms and personal trainers to actually then sell it on. But yeah, we were in the kitchen, but not actually like cooking up the rice or the chicken or anything like that.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And how long did that business last, and why? Does it still exist, first of all?
It doesn't.
Okay.
So we were doing it for about a year and a bit, and we got to a place where we, like, to be fair, we're doing fairly okay. So like we're charging customers like close to like 2,000 a month. So it was a business that made money very quickly.
How many meals is that?
So we were giving you everything. It was breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks for pretty much the whole week, and we would do drop-offs on a Sunday and a Wednesday. So Sunday evening you get delivery, Wednesday evening you get another delivery. So you wouldn't have to think about anything. You would just literally get your meals. It's in accordance to whatever your goal is. You eat it, train, whatever it may be. And to be fair, like the areas we were operating in was like your Chelsea, Kensington.
I was about to say, because
it wasn't like,
I don't know if I'm
yeah. It was, to be fair, it was, and it's like at the time we were like 19, 20, so it was a bit. I don't want to say it was audacious, but it was just like we're just looking at it like the only way this works is by charging this.
Yeah.
Then we put it out there, spoke to a few personal trainers, and we're like, I was just like, I tried to find the route to something with like the least resistance, or I just tried to think about how one effort can amplify into like can amplify your result. So I was talking to his name is Paul. I was talking to Paul as well, and I was like, bro, we need to go to personal trainers because their clients want to see results. If we help their clients get results, the personal trainer makes more money. If the personal trainer makes more money, they're going to tell more people about what we're doing. So that's what we did. We went to a gym called Equinox in Kensington, and absolutely winged it. We're just like, yeah, we got this thing. It's gonna get you more like clients. Your personal trainer is gonna be happier, so you're gonna attract more of them into your gym. And they were just like, yeah, cool, let's do it. And that's how we grew the business.
Business is not this seamless anymore. I feel like going into somewhere and having that conversation with someone saying, yeah, great. Now it's like, okay, pass you on to this person, pass you on to that person.
Yeah. I mean,
send a deck.
There's bits
can you do
moving
this?
now because there were like people that we met along the way. So like there were definitely people who helped us. But yeah, it was like that process of you speak to one person, this person connected us to that, and then we made it happen. The business did eventually close down. So there was another company who were doing something similar in the same kitchen as us, and we were just like, look, we're not like, this ain't the thing for us. So we can kind of like sell our business to you. It wasn't sold in a way like anything that's going to end up on TechCrunch, but it was just like okay, cool, like we're leaving, you can just take over what it is we've built. But yeah, from what I've seen, that guy isn't doing that business anymore, so I guess it's just like, it's not something that's running.
Do you still have an interest in food now? Are you a foodie?
It's funny because I can't say I'm a foodie because I don't run around going to different restaurants,
Okay.
but I'm definitely a flavors merchant. Like, if you
Okay.
put food in front of me, I'm gonna look for what's around me to maybe like make it taste a little bit better.
Before you've tried it.
No, I'll try it
Okay.
a bit, but then,
Are
but
you,
like,
you're are you the
Yeah,
same?
I'm the same.
Yeah.
You always have to add your own little like twist. Yeah.
Especially if I already know how something else tastes.
Is this the case when you're at someone's house and when you're out eating, or is this just the case?
My wife hates when I do this. So like and she's like the big. She's amazing. She's cooks up like an absolute storm. But if I ever want to like tweak something about it, it's like a personal
No,
insult.
it is. That's exactly what I would feel.
To the point where it's like sometimes you want to add like some more sauce to something. And it's like, is it worth the drama?
No.
Like, let me just eat the thing as it is.
There you go.
But yeah, I still like dig myself a hole sometimes. But yeah, getting better at that.
What's your condiment of choice? If you could only have one additional thing that you can put on every meal for the rest of this year, this is to both of you, what would that thing be? Every single food that you would want to add something to.
So you know what? I think Nando's peri sauce goes.
Really?
Yeah.
Which flavor?
Because we have like you have the actual one in it, like the hot one. Yeah, it just goes with everything.
Really?
Yeah, I'll put it on baked beans. It's that good.
What?
No
Yeah,
way.
trust me. Try it.
No, I'm all
Try
for
it.
seasoning baked beans. Like,
Yeah,
I don't have
Yeah,
it at the tin. Like, I
No,
see
trust
it.
me.
There's onion in there, there's
Put-
garlic in
Yeah.
there, there's garlic in there.
Oh, that's
there's all
long.
of that.
Just put a dash of Nando's peri, mix
But
it
how
up
does
and heat
that
it.
combine with the tomato base of
That's
the...
what you don't have to overthink it. Just try it. I'm telling you. I
It
promise
sounds
you.
like Mexican.
Try it. Let me know, but try it before you deny it. Innit?
Okay,
telling you.
I'm always up for a challenge, so I'm
All
gonna try
right,
it.
all right.
I'm gonna try it.
Remember I told you.
My thing is just sweet chili sauce.
Oh,
Sweet.
that's
I feel like
an
sweet-
elite.
Yeah, sweet chili
That's an
just
elite
bangs
extra.
with everything. Like,
That is an elite.
it's
Extra.
just. Yeah, and if I meet someone and they're like, yeah, sweet chili's their thing, I'm like, yeah,
That is an elite.
this is gonna work. Well, cool.
The Encona sweet chili sauce, that one.
Sorry.
The Encona.
For me, it don't really matter.
Okay.
Like, obviously, there's like some that are better than others, but I'm just like, if there's sweet chili and it's decent enough, I'm good with it. Do you know what sweet chili bangs?
Which?
McDonald's.
Really?
The one that
Do you
you
know
get the
what?
chicken strips.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that.
Is
I know
it?
that
Sweet
one.
chili
Yeah,
bangs.
Do you know what? I have a love-hate, not even a love-hate, but like a love and like relationship with sweet chili sauce.
Yeah.
I don't like when it's really thick,
Okay.
and I find some of them can be really thick. The best sweet chili sauce I've tasted that you can buy is actually from Aldi, I want to say.
Okay.
It's either Aldi or Lidl.
Is it in like the glass bottle? Yeah.
Top tier. Top tier. My condiment though of choice is 100% chili oil. Like I am obsessed with chili oil these days.
Right.
I will literally drizzle that thing on everything: salad, salmon, rice, fish fingers.
I'm not mad at that.
Everything now has chili oil in it.
Fair.
I absolutely love it. Food for me is like a huge part of my self-care routine. In terms of self-care for you guys, what did it look like? We'll get to Temple. What did it look like before the birth of Temple? What things did you both do independently that made you feel like I'm taking care of myself? Or did you do anything at all?
For me, like when it came to like just physical, like when I was younger, I backed gym a lot more. I don't really do it like that anymore. Though I say that, but the plan is to get back into it, like lifting and all that, with different motives though. Because when you're younger, it's all about just like
You wouldn't
put
think
muscle,
this guy
put
was.
muscle.
Is it?
He was massive.
Because I started weightlifting when I
Really?
was quite young. Yeah. Because I've always been skinny, so I kind of had that confidence of I need to put weight on.
Yeah.
So I was always like, all right, I'm gonna work out. But now I'm just like, I want like more balance, like physically. So my thing now is yoga.
Okay.
I used to be swimming. I used to do a bit of climbing as well. Obviously like football as well, but not so much these days. I skateboard as well. So like for me, and this is the thing I don't like about gym, is like it's really repetitive, and in my opinion, like it's not like engaging you like mentally while you're doing it,
That's interesting.
because it's you're just kind of like mechanically doing the reps, which I find quite monotonous. Like my track record is I'll do it for like a few months, see results, be like, oh shit, this is sick, and then like very quickly like start to taper off because I'll just get comfy. So yeah, I really enjoy yoga now, especially like with a busy lifestyle. It's something that you can do at home if you want to. I've done like a few yoga sessions, which has been cool, but you know, I do quite enjoy like just doing it in my own space. And then other self-care practices, like for me, the big thing is like taking a bath. So before temple, like that was my thing. I love taking baths. Just like that's your own time in it. It's like a little sanctuary that's just for you. So
are you an Epsom salt in the bath person?
No.
Lots of bubbles.
Do you know what it is for me? It's like it's gonna sound weird, but like just setting the vibe, like the bubbles. If Epsom salts are there, I'll do it. To be honest, I don't really feel the difference personally, but like if it's there, I'll do it. Getting the bubbles, I like it just piping hot, and then usually I'll do it when there's nobody else around about, so that nobody's coming in. Like that's the worst thing because I like to put the lights out, the candles going.
Okay, yeah. So it's a real.
I've got like the tray that I can put my like device on.
Oh, so you're like this and the
it
things across.
It holds like my wine glass a certain way, and I'm like literally I'll have chicken, all sorts. So yeah, that's like my thing. That and like then when it came to like grooming, for me the personal care part of grooming was like obviously going to the barber, and then when I started growing my hair, it was like okay, learning how to take care of like longer hair, afro, and then later becoming locks. So.
Yeah, different things work for different people. I think for me even, I've recently in the last year and a half transitioned from the aesthetic element of going to the gym being the most important, and then the feeling afterwards, and it's completely switched. Like I feel so empowered going to the gym now or exercise, and I also dance, so that for me is like gold. And
what kind of dance?
At the moment, street dance and house.
Nice.
So it's like high level, lots going on, music is high, vibes are high, and it's fun. I grew up as a dancer as well, so it's kind of like my childhood first like creative expression, so to speak. But it's that enjoyment and empowerment that comes off the back of it. And then when I put on an outfit, I think, oh wow, looking trimmer. But like, or like whatever my goal was, realizing that actually the aesthetic benefit is no longer the most important part of this exercise. Raph, what was self-care for you before temple? Or did you have a self-care practice?
I kind of did. I think similar to Adam, like before I was going to the gym quite a lot, but I didn't view it as like self-care. It was literally like the aesthetics. Whereas now I think about it more as a self-care thing, because I think it's actually good with managing like stress and stuff like that. But before it was like, I think I don't know how or where this came from, but I think I tend to be quite my self-care practices and the things I did were more focused on like my mental state more than anything else. So I think because of that, it meant I was quite intrigued by like spirituality. I just ended up like falling into meditation and being intrigued by it, and like, what does this mean and what does it do and why do people do it? So I started meditating, and I got to a point where I was really good at it as well. Like I could literally like lock in 30 minutes straight, like for daily for a long period of time, and I felt like that period I was probably like at my best in terms of like work and output and mental state and all these different things. And I think outside of that as well, it was, I think there was always an interest in skincare to some extent. I think it's because I've got a mum, 2 sisters, and there was always like some sort of skincare thing around the house and in the bathroom. So mind you, at the time it was like Clearasil and all this other stuff, but there was always that understanding of, okay, cool, the stuff you use on your face is slightly different to what you use on the rest of your body. Yeah,
because I feel like that is something that men didn't know.
Yeah.
I know men that have...
Or still don't.
Yeah. Put hand soap to wash their hair. Yeah. Or put like body soap to wash their face. And it's... Yeah. The education's just not there, isn't it? Which
it's not. And it's like... yeah, I guess that's the biggest hurdle that we're trying to get over with Temple. I think it is just like making it clear that okay, there is a distinction between how you use these things, and these are the benefits of why you need to make those changes. But yeah, a lot of the stuff I did for self-care was like mostly like mental stuff, so like meditation, journaling. One of my closest friends, a guy called Say,
Nice, Say.
yeah, so Say like had gone through like therapy and stuff, and
and he started
Hutch.
not Hutch, the business before that about black therapists.
Oh, Recover. Yeah.
Recover.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Yeah. Honorable shout out to State and Recover.
Yeah.
So yeah, he was just like, bro, you should consider therapy, man. So that was like what I would do for like self-care. It was like meditation, journaling, therapy. Yeah, a lot of it's to do with like my mental state more than anything else. Because I think like with everything else, like the physical stuff, I feel like I can get those into a good place relatively easily. If I want to get in shape, okay, cool, I'm in the gym for like 8 to 12 weeks, I'm watching my diet, I'm training, and that's cool. But I think in terms of like actually dealing with, okay, anxiety or stress or patterns in behavior, all of those are things that like take longer. And I think that's where I looked to straight away in terms of how do I look after myself. If I look after up here, everything else will follow. So
Yeah, I think both those points have so much synergy because, a transformed mind equals a transformed life. And I think despite what you do to then actualize whatever you're transforming your mind about, so whether that's like, okay, I want to be in better shape, that's a thought first, and then it's practice. I think life starts and ends really with how we see the world in our brain, in a lot of ways. So, the evolution of Temple, where did the name come from, first of all? And why Temple?
Yeah, this is actually Raph's.
So there is actually a secret. There is a secret.
So this is exclusive. Are you telling me a secret?
Yeah, low key it's an exclusive. So basically, so the name actually came from Sate.
Okay.
Yeah. So when years and years ago, when me and Sate were working on something else, he was like, he wanted to start this consumer brand, which was like supplements, and he was going to call it Temple, or there was something else he was going to call Temple as well. I can't remember, but like the word Temple was just floating around. And I had this, so Adam will probably even talk about this at some point, but I had a moment where I was like, okay, there's a brand like Temple missing from the market. This happened maybe like 5 or 6 years ago, but I was like, the market isn't ready for it, so I'm not going to do anything about it. But it stayed in my head. I just kept thinking, this thing needs to exist. So then when it then came to, okay, I feel like this is the time where I'm starting to see that more and more Black and Asian men are taking personal care, skincare, all of that stuff more seriously. I think we can finally start a brand. I went back to say it and I was like, see that name you mentioned, yeah, I feel like I've got a perfect brand for it. Do you mind if I use it? And he was like, yeah, cool, like, go do your thing. So then, like that's where Temple originally came from. And then it was like, as I actually sat down with it and thought about it more and more, and all of the different meanings to the word Temple and the associations to what we're doing with the brand. Like you think about Temple, you think about peace, tranquility, something that you approach with reverence. When you point to your temple, you point to your mind. We refer to our body as our temple, your body is your temple. There were just so many things that felt like this slaps. Yeah. And then, when me and Adam started talking, I was like, so Adam was working on a different brand, similar to Temple. I was working on Temple, and I was like, so I've got this thing called Temple. Maybe we can work on it together. Yeah. But yeah, that was like how it all came about.
I love that. And what was the decision to make 3 products at first and not like loads of different SKUs or even just one?
Yeah. Do you mean in terms of like the range?
Yeah.
I think it was just because I've always thought about skincare in the context of like a routine, as opposed to it just being the moisturizer or the cleanser or whatever else it may be. And I was just like, men need to have a routine. They need to have a system that they use, and they know that that's going to be like the complete package that they need to introduce themselves into this world of, okay, cool, I now have a routine for something. And we were just sort of thinking, okay, cool, like what's the simplest way to get people in? And because the key like, or the biggest objections that we had to like leap over was, it takes too long. I was like, okay, well, there's only 3 steps. Like the application process is really quick. It's really expensive. Okay, well, like I think the whole set is less than like £50. You're like the lifetime of you using the set is going to be over the course of like 2 months. So we're talking like less than £1, like considerably less than £1 a day that we're spending to do this. And then it was just like, when I see my girlfriend do it, there's loads of steps. Well, no, literally wash your face, tone it, use a moisturizer, you're good. There's other stuff like SPF.
Yeah.
But we're like, okay, look, these are the basics that you need. So that's why we just sort of like
went with 3.
Here's
one that I made earlier. Have you got a favourite? You can take one.
I'm going to say the cleanser.
I can take one.
Yeah. For me, I'm going to say the cleanser.
Because?
One, the smell.
Actually, I'm going to.
And yeah, I think just like the process of like washing, cleaning, I just think it's nice. It's just like a
therapeutic.
Yeah. So yeah, the cleanser has always been a favorite for me.
And the steps for men listening, cleansing your face. Like let's take it back to basics. You've come in, or no, let's start with you've woken up.
Yep.
What happens now?
Woken up, go to the bathroom, grab your cleanser, which essentially is just like a face wash. So you will first
wet your face.
Wet your face.
So many guys don't wet their face.
Yeah, so many guys just get a cleanser from
put it on their dry skin.
Brother.
Tackling it. Yeah.
And why is that important? Is it? Let me not answer my question. Why is that important?
It's important because, like, in a way, like the water helps to like actually activate the cleanser. Otherwise, it's just like really tacky and sticky.
You know, the same way you don't get in the shower and just put shower.
Yeah, that's a good way to see it.
Yeah,
that's the same way to see it. Yeah.
So apply water, then use the cleanser. Rub it into your face. You'll do that for roughly about, you don't need to do it for any longer than like 60 seconds. And then you will rinse the cleanser off your face. You will then get ideally you're going to use like a flannel or a towel that you don't use on the rest of your body to then pat your face dry. After that, you'll grab hold of the toner. Ideally you'd use it with a cotton pad. If you don't have a cotton pad though, you can just spray it directly onto your face.
So are you saying use it with a cotton pad, spray it on the cotton pad and use that on your face?
Yeah.
Or spray it on your face and then use the cotton pad?
You can spray it on your face and just massage it in with your fingertips.
Okay.
Yeah, but if you do have cotton pads, spray onto a cotton pad and then just like use it and swipe across your face.
Okay.
And you will basically wait for it to dry after that point. The thing with the toner as well is like it's kind of like doubling up on your cleansing process because not to make it sound nasty, but once you've used the cotton pad on your face and you actually look at it,
there's more residue.
Yeah, exactly. So it really gets under like the surface of your skin to like pull out any dirt and like excess oils or anything else that your cleanser didn't get to really make sure your face is like clean.
With that in mind, when that happens, do you guys advise toning again until there is no residue coming off?
I think the danger of that is you can strip your skin of like the oils that it actually needs.
Okay.
So you don't want to overdo it. I think the important thing is to do it consistently. So so with this routine, you do it in the morning and you do it again in the evening as well. So the idea isn't to strip your strip your face and the skin of the natural oils that it actually needs to be healthy. But it then allows you to, once you apply the moisturizer, to get the full benefits of the moisturizer.
Yeah, exactly that.
And now, after this is dry, you apply the moisturizer. In terms of quantity,
Of the moisturizer? Or
Yeah,
just,
like how would you
literally just like-
suggest
Yeah,
like
it's
literally
not-
putting your finger in,
Yeah.
taking
Yeah.
quite a lot. There's a
you
little
can
go a
literally
long
just,
way.
like, put on your finger, and then you can do like some dabs to make sure that like you've got your face covered, and then you just massage it in.
Yeah.
And you do your neck as well. A lot of people like miss out their neck.
How do you advise like creaming your neck?
So before I was literally just like getting it, putting it, and then just like massaging to my neck. But I've learned that you're actually meant to sweep upwards.
Oh, okay.
And you're kind of like meant to do that to the rest of your face as well. So like when you apply it, like you sweep upwards.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because I noticed a lot of guys like do this thing when they're
Yeah,
down, and
and then
it
it's
just
like-
looks a bit awkward. Like,
Nah.
yeah, always be like
I'll keep it
lifting
tight.
upwards. Yeah.
Yeah. And your favorite product of the three is?
I've got to say the moisturizer, and the reason why I say that is because when you run out of it, you proper miss it. Like, and this happened, so it seems to be like the most popular. Even though everybody buys it as a set, basically like 98% of people buy as a set, as they should. But we have had the event where we actually ran out of the moisturizer. And like people were basically like the crack. It felt like there was a crack shortage.
Yeah.
Like people were like, when is the moisturizer coming? Like, I
Mad.
need it. That thing's dry as hell. So definitely the moisturizer is one of the like heroes of the set, I'd say.
Although it is self-care for the Mandem, I know that.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to step on toes.
Yeah.
But what I am asking is that can women use it?
100%.
For sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's
We've had women who have bought it for themselves, and they've like shouted about it on social media, and they're like, "Yeah, like, I'm using it as well." So,
I love it. It's got hyaluronic acid in it, which is one of my favorite serums, for sure, and vitamin E, which is also great. How did you come up with the formulation?
So we had to speak with dermatologists, doctors, estheticians beforehand to just really because we don't come from like a background of like really understanding what goes into like these products. So essentially went to the experts and we said, look, we've spoken to men. Adam did loads of research when he was sort of working on his brand. I did research to find out like the key things that men are self-conscious about or they want to like have addressed. So then when we went to the experts and we said, okay, cool, like these are all of the things that we want to address. What are the best ingredients that we need to have to like effectively help with that? They sort of then helped us to say, okay, cool, you want to consider this, you want to consider this, you want to consider that. There was now the additional layer of, okay, one more thing, this is also going to be for people of color, so black, brown, Asian, mixed race, etc. And then with that, it was then like to also take into account, okay, now what are the ingredients that we definitely shouldn't have in any of our products? So that's how we went about it. Our thing was just, we know that there's an opportunity in the market, but we're going to leverage people who know way more about this than us to make sure that we get to a place where we have a great product, safe product, effective products that we can give to people. And once we have that, it's then our job to just make sure that it's communicated effectively to people, and two, looks like aesthetically pleasing, because we're giving it to an audience who have been overlooked for a really long time. And because of that, there's probably going to be some resistance to want to actually try stuff. So, we were just like, look, we're going to speak to you on your level. So straight away, it's like, okay, you're already different. And then two, we're not going to take the same approach that other brands have taken, like when they're trying to communicate to men. So, like, we wanted to be really distinctive in that sense.
It is, and that's clear in terms of like the language you guys use on socials and just your general tone of voice. It's clear that like Brotherhood has really built this thing, and it will continue to do that. What does, how has the Brotherhood showed up for you guys since starting Temple?
So many different ways. Like, I think there's the immediate, just like how we work together. So obviously, like we have, we've entered this as friends, but we're also business partners. So there's a certain amount of vulnerability that we allow each other, because that's just part of life. And sometimes being able to actually express like if you're actually going through something and how that might affect other things that are on your to-do list or this, that, and the other. On a sort of like more outward facing way. I think the support that we've had from, you know, friends and from, you know, associates to, you know, properly show up as the brand that we are today behind the scenes, like Maz from Translate, Andy, so many other guys who have just been instrumental in advising and just like kind of steering us when we're in territories that we're not necessarily the most comfortable in ourselves.
Yeah.
Andy Davis, I'm talking.
Yeah.
Essentially, it came down to like, okay, we felt in our own sort of like individual way or in smaller circles that there's space that needs to be created for these like communities, and yeah, doing it in this way is different because it's the usual thing is to, you know, create sports so like teams, like if you do five-a-side football and all that kind of stuff, which is great, but I think there needs to be, you know, sort of more diverse way where people can actually go beyond just like, okay, who's your favorite, like, you know, team or how they performed last week and stuff. So in a sense, I guess there's just more recognition that there's a real need for it because of the effects of mental health. Yeah. And even just how we then engage with like women as well. So I think now it's like, yeah, you don't have to quote unquote suffer in silence in many respects. So yeah, we want to be part of like driving that you know, community and that brotherhood forward.
Yeah, I think that's key. And like as you say, you've created a safe space in an unconventional way. And like going down the sport, it's funny, I was listening to a podcast yesterday about like the gender norms that we've kind of all grown up with, and how it's really important not to box yourself in and make, especially for younger people, to box yourself in to make you feel like you have to be a particular type of way if you are a particular gender. So like this lady was talking about how sometimes in church groups, she was speaking about it from like a Christian worldview, the men go on like football retreats and the women go to like have brunch.
Yeah.
But what if a girl's really quote unquote, like society likes to call her tomboyish, and actually would prefer to go to play five-a-side, and the guy's like, oh, I'm a foodie, I'd prefer to go to brunch. So I think introducing skincare into a man's world in such an obvious way, I think is really powerful in like openly saying this is a safe space. Yeah. This is something that we can talk to and speak to and be about without it looking like we're metro. So I think that's also the language. There's also a language barrier around that I've seen, in that if you're a man that takes care of yourself, you're immediately labelled like a metro man. Well, actually, you're just taking care of yourself.
Yeah.
Like it's not.
Exactly, and I think that's exactly the one of the big shifts that we're kind of like pushing against, right? It's like, okay, as a man, there's so many intersections that you can be a part of. And the truth of the matter is, like, guys are doing it. They're just not like doing it in a way that is like visible to everybody else. But because it can be such a private thing, and you might be doing the research, you might be going on YouTube trying to find these things out, and the conversations like has been very anonymous, like so far, and sometimes that can be a bit dangerous because a lot of things are kind of unchecked, and there can be a lot of conflicting sort of advice. So what our, you know, kind of big goal or big vision is like, okay, if you are looking at something, or if you're interested in like, you know, taking better care of yourself, that you would have been able to recall like, okay, there is a brand out there, I've heard of this temple brand, or I can recommend it to someone. So that kind of like mind share or you know, space in the, let's say, consumer's mind for a brand, that's what the opportunity that we felt like has been missing. And because I'm a designer, because I come from this branding background, of course, like I want to make it something that feels like an amazing experience from the time I've gone to the Instagram page. Yeah. Like visually, how does that look? Like what does representation look like in that sort of way? Down to the packaging, the website, you know, when you finally unbox it. So, you know, that for me is like where I get to geek out, but it's not in a way that's kind of self-serving. It's like, okay, how can we deliver an amazing elite experience that, you know, we want to, you know, others to experience. So
as well.
yeah, so when I see now, like, and it's unprompted as well many times, like guys will, you know, share videos of them doing a skincare routine, and it's like I wouldn't have imagined like seeing this like 3, 4, 5 years ago.
Of course not.
And so being part of, you know, starting to shift that perception, and, you know, encouraging people to share like the self-care practices is really like rewarding in that sense as well.
Yeah, I can imagine. And in terms of safe spaces for you both, what are they?
I think so first and foremost, I'm lucky that I've got, like, I'd say there's
Careful, you don't want to upset anyone.
Friends. Yeah, no, there's 3 immediate friends. They know who they are. There's 3 immediate friends that I can immediately go to and be like, bro, I'm rattled, and this is what's going on, and this is why I feel like this, and this is what I'm thinking about. It also helps that one of them, being said, he's a founder, so he 100% gets like the stresses and stuff we have to talk about. The other person is obviously Adam, who we're working together now, and we're just like super transparent with each other. We have to be anyway, because it's like,
doesn't work otherwise.
Yeah, it just won't work. Got one of my boys, Jamel, and then Maz. Maz is another person who the way we originally met was because there was this thing called Safe Space, where you literally, as founders, you come into it, you sort of just talk openly and honestly about like where you're at, what's going on. That's how we met. And then because we started our relationship from a place of a high level of vulnerability, we've just sustained it. So it's like, I know I can just talk to him on a real and be like, bro, this like just where things are. I think outside of that, therapy. I had to go back to therapy because I was just like, okay, cool. There's a lot of stuff going on, and I need to find a means to sort of like get it out. But yeah, for me, I'd say it's like, you know, really close friends, my business partner, and then my therapist.
Yeah, I actually, before you guys, was talking to a therapist, so it's interesting that you say that that is a core part of your self-care practice. Yeah, I agree. Adam, what about you? Yeah,
so like echoing what Raph said, you know, having a close sort of cohort of friends that you can you can share when things aren't, you know, pretty or you know, because sometimes life can be overwhelming, you know, and it works both ways as well. Like, you know, that's reciprocated. For me, the next kind of big safe space for me is like my marriage. And it's taken, we've been married for like 5 years, but we've been together for like over 10, almost 11 years, I think now. So
I love a good love story. We'll be talking for ages.
I'm condensing it dramatically, but yeah, like that's my bestie, innit? So basically, like I can say anything to her, she can say anything to me, and that's like, I don't take for granted. Like it's not happened overnight. So yeah, it's I can't imagine not having that like access to that, and especially like raising a family. So we got a young boy. He's 4. He's just about to start, you know, secondary school. He's just about to start primary school. He acts like he's starting secondary school though. He's just about to start primary school, and obviously like going through that journey together, like you learn so much about your partner. You learn so much about yourself, and you know, some of it is news, like really, really news to you, but everything is sort of like exaggerated in many senses, because now what you might have gotten away with before, like just as a couple, like you can start to project onto you know, this like impressionable person. So you're that much quicker to be like, oh, you know, when you said that thing to Tay earlier, I felt like this, or you know, vice versa.
So from a business standpoint, just before we wrap, what's the biggest lesson you guys have learned about being Black, male, and in the skincare business? It could be a personal lesson, it could be an actual professional lesson about what the industry has shown you. But yeah, what would you say is the biggest lesson you've learned about being Black, male, and in the skincare business?
When you say that, I think about like a recent filming that we did, and like beforehand they did like the makeup, right? You know what I'm talking about.
Your skin is. I'm sorry to interject. I must say before we finish, because I know this is something I may forget and tell you off camera. You are perfect adverts for your brand. Honestly, your skin looks.
Thank you so much.
As you were.
Thank you. Yeah. So yeah, that basically they wanted to do our makeup before we went on this filming, and quite simply because the makeup artist was like this older white lady, like she just didn't have like the shades that we needed,
Of course.
right? And they were so insistent, like you have to put this on. Like you can't go on.
As you can't go out.
Yeah,
without
you
makeup.
can't go on without anything. Yeah, because they're like super OCD about shine and all this kind of stuff. So we're like, okay, fine, like just do it. But very quickly became evident, like I could get by with the shades that she had, but for Raph, like it was
myth.
Yeah.
How much makeup did they put on? Do you know? Can you remember the steps? Did they put like
'Cause it was just
foundation,
like a foundation.
and concealer?
Yeah, it was like a powder.
Yeah, it was like
but it was mad because I pay close attention to my skin. So as I was sat there and I was looking at myself in the mirror, I said something ain't right. And I looked at Adam, I didn't say anything, but I looked at him just to check how he was looking, and then I looked at myself and I was like, this ain't right. And then she was like, oh yeah, cool, you're done. So then I left, went back into our changing room, and then I took a picture just to be sure, like, am I seeing the real thing, or are my eyes just like always?
I was going to ask if you have a picture.
Yeah, I do, yeah. And
don't worry, I'll send it you later.
Thank you.
And like,
because you knew that was the next question.
I looked and I was like, I started laughing so hard. I was like, this is
Couldn't believe it.
so wrong.
And how long did you have to be on screen for?
It was like a proper production.
Yeah.
So like
we'll explain it off camera. But yeah,
proper production. So
I watched it off.
Yeah.
I'm about to say, what happened next?
I'm not going on like this. My boys will see this and be like, Raph.
So what was your situation? Everything was too light.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it wasn't like it wasn't even. It wasn't even. It was like some parts are light, like, and somehow my eyebrows looked darker, and it was a mess. Quite simply,
not working.
My boys will corner me when I get home for this. No.
And Adam, what was yours? Was
mine was like it could pass in it.
Okay.
It could pass. But yeah, obviously, like with that and the whole premise of like why we were there was to talk about the business and talk about you know why as a consumer, we've been neglected for so long, and this so like poignantly illustrated the point in a way that was like ironic.
Yeah,
right?
It was like perfect timing, but just like
So it was almost like, do you know what? Yeah, this is exactly why we're here.
I don't know. It's gonna sound like a bit of an anticlimax one. I don't know if it's just because I haven't taken the time to kind of like pay attention to the lessons that I'm sort of like learning along the way. I think the example that Adam raised is like a really, really good one. I think. Do you know what? And I don't really know how to find the words to like articulate this, but I think in a way, our difference in this space has kind of been like a superpower for us. I'm in a headspace where I'm so confident if you get us into a room with boots, I'm convinced we can get it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's because of our differences. The fact that we are two black men who was trying to start this brand, and we're not trying to go after like the mass audience. We're saying, no, we're deliberately going after a niche audience, and we think that they need to be represented. I think the lesson for me in that is like, really try your hardest to be like comfortable with what makes you different, and leverage it for your advantage. And I think we've got to where we've got to, and we've got here as quickly as we have because of our differences and being able to like stand on it and being like, yep, it's different, it's niche, it's people say niche, it's like, it's not really niche. It's niche to you because you're not looking at it the way we're looking at it. You're not actually paying attention to what's happening in the space properly. But again, even in having that stance and being like, no, you're wrong, and this is why, and there are cases to prove that, is what's really helped us to be in the space that we're in now. So yeah, I'd say that's like the lesson I take from it.
Both very, very key. To both of you, what do you admire most? Like Adam, what do you admire most about Raph and the way that he works, and vice versa? Raph, what do you admire most about Adam and the way that he works?
Yeah, I'll go first. The thing I admire the most about Raph is like his tenacity.
I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah.
I could have said the same, and I wouldn't know that.
Right.
That's so funny. I really was going to say that.
So I think there's like a take no prisoners kind of like mentality, which you absolutely need to have in for a business to work, right? So like there's a mentality that Raph has where it's just like, there's like don't take no for an answer, like break through the wall, do whatever it takes kind of thing. And that's like really motivating to have when things aren't always going, our way, right? So it's like, okay, this is just another hurdle to kind of smash through, and then just keep going.
Yeah.
So having that like consistently day in day out, is a really, really powerful characteristic to bring to the table. So yeah, that's probably one of my biggest things. The other side, obviously, like the things that I naturally do not want to like, I don't want to like open a spreadsheet. I hate spreadsheets. I've got friends who will tell you like stories about me in secondary school and spreadsheets. But his level of detail in that side of things is, really refreshing. And again, it's just something that's so fundamental to the actual operating of the business. So that creates a level of confidence in, my trust in him as a business partner. So yeah, those are those two like, really important things I would say that when I'm Raph.
Appreciate that. I think on my end there's a few things. I think there's things in regards to like the business side of things, and then I think there's things on like a personal level. I'll start with a personal thing. I think, as he mentioned in regards, I'm very much like I'm willing to run through a wall. Like I'm willing, like for the sake of this business, like I feel like there's so much conviction in what we're doing, and I genuinely feel like this has to exist, and I'm borderline willing to like almost put my health at risk for the sake of like making it work. And I feel like if both of us were like that, it'd probably be, you probably get to a really toxic place where like you're just doing way too much. And I think Adam has a more calming approach. Even when things go wrong, like recently something happened and I was just like, yeah, I'm ready to run. And he was just like, okay, this happened, blah, blah. And it's almost like fire and water. So like, I think that really, really helps in that sense. And in regards to the business, I genuinely feel like a big part of where the business is at is just Adam's ability to just the aesthetics. And it goes all the way back to college. It was like, I can understand what good aesthetics look like, but the actual delivery of it gets a bit murky. And there's been so many times me and Adam will have a conversation and I'm like, this is the sentence I'm trying to communicate, or this is the feeling I'm trying to evoke, but I don't know how to do it visually. Adam will go away somewhere. A few days later, I will be like, bang, this is it. I'm like, bro, that's mad. And like, even recently, like, we're going through a process where we're changing things, like, subtle changes are happening here and there. And like, he showed me the first version. And because I now know that where his level is, he showed me the first version and I was like, bro, respectfully, I know you can go harder. And that's literally all I did. And I just walked away and he went away and he came back and I was just like, done. I can't do this. I actually can't do this. I could never have got from there to here or from there to where you've now taken it again. And I feel like, that is just something that, hats off. I'm like, everyone sees the brand and they're like, oh, and I'm like, Adam, like other than saying, it's going to be called Temple, everything else, it's Adam. So,
I love that.
Yes,
I love that. So how can people support you, like genuinely support you? Where can people follow you? What are you guys doing next at?
Tell everybody, tell a friend, tell your brother, tell your cousin. We're at jointemple.com. That's our website where you can browse products, obviously order. You can follow us on social media at Join Temple on IG and TikTok. Pending, we're there, but we're like not fully there, but we're there. Those are the main ones, I would say. Website, socials. I'm trying to think what else. Yeah, just the main thing is being like, just let people know about it. And if you do try it, give us your feedback. Like, we definitely want to think about ways to like improve what we're doing constantly. We're constantly trying to think, how do we make this even better?
I love that. Well, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having us.